think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not.
He writes the referral and he gives it to Kate and goes, by the way, there are no dermatologists in the entire Niagara region accepting patients. Thanks for coming out. Peace out. That's the fucking healthcare system that we're gonna just get to. That's just a little taste of it, you know, like just a little like a sampler.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what's going to continue to be the case, I think.
Yeah. I'm hearing really good things about snake oil though, and I think I'd like to double down and try some.
You know what's funny? One of my coworkers was like, "You should take her to a naturopath," and I was like, "I want to punch you right in your face."
That's the stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe I can smell some oil or Reiki my balls. Get the fuck out of here. Take a walk. Naturopath. Fuck.
Yeah. I'd take that, naturopaths.
And also, if I wanted to get jerked off by fucking herbs and spices, I could just Google whatever a naturopath would give me for X and buy it on fucking Amazon. And I could dose myself with all kinds of fucking zinc and shit. Give me a break. Yeah.
Do it up conspiracy style. Just
not a
natural.
Not a natural
bone broth
guy.
Bone broth, that's right.
I'm not a naturopath guy. Listen, you know what? I jack myself up on oregano oil and echinacea like any normal person does.
You're probably the most naturopathic out of all of us. If we're honest and do a real accounting of like
this fucking Croatian guy I knew told me if you put that fucking oregano oil straight into the system right before you get sick, nothing can stop you. And so far, that's been the case. Yeah.
Croatians love that shit. I agree.
Croatians love it. They'll eat the fucking raw garlic, cook that ginger down. What?
Do not open a window and have a draft, because that will fucking kill you. I've heard that from many Croatians.
They don't appreciate that. You got to draft.
The draft, draft is fatal.
Oh, man, you know what? Like, only certain parts of my house are finished and insulated, not the whole thing. There are some drafts.
Death trap.
Well, what kind of draft are we talking about? Are we talking about like any draft, or like what if the floor is cold? Like,
I think that's okay. I think the window being open is like, it's almost like letting evil spirits into your home. You know, like you got to invite the draft in.
Fucking bacteria and so on. Okay, I won't do that.
I love to do that though. Like I love in the winter when it's really cold to turn down the furnace and open up all the windows and fucking freeze the house just a little bit every once in a while. Just get really cold. And then close it down. Well, it's true. I mean, the clock's ticking, right?
Yeah.
Kate does that. She's like, I'm trying to get some fresh air in the house. I'm like, you're freezing us. You're poisoning us.
I don't know, man. Okay. Get that oregano though. You're good.
That's what
that fresh air shit.
Oh.
Put 5 drops of that in a glass of water, drink it, and start retching from the heinous taste. You'll be cured.
Oh.
It's like the unstoppable force meeting the immovable object, you know?
Yeah.
Oregano oil versus draft.
Yeah. It's kind of like Magneto colliding with Xavier, I think.
Not yet.
Exactly like that.
Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah, it's more like Juggernaut. The thing is, like, I was gonna pick Juggernaut as the unstoppable force, but like, Blob. It's like Juggernaut and Blob. I'm sure this has been depicted somewhere in comics, but I don't recall. But I got a sense that they would just cancel each other out.
I feel like that would be 2 things. Something I would never want to see drawn. And also, I feel like if I were the Juggernaut, I would not want to engage in that fight because it'd just be fucking annoying. Actually, if I was any superhero, the Blob would just be off my list. I'm like, I'm not going through this.
You're just fascinating. You hate the question so much. You refuse to answer. I love it.
Why wouldn't you? Would you know how much exertion it would take to fight the Blob? How would you win?
How do you win against the Juggernaut? Like,
he takes his helmet off.
Well, at least you
power
get
him.
your ass beat real quick. The Blob, I just feel like wouldn't be able to beat you, and you wouldn't be able to beat him, and it'd be horribly like long drawn out ordeal. The Juggernaut, at least you just get fucking mutilated.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because it's the Blob, he just sits there, right? And he kind of waddles around.
And he's like, I'm gonna get you. I don't know. I always think of that X-Men Origins version of the Blob too from the movie.
Oh, I ain't seen it.
Oh, treat yourself. You'll like it.
I'm sure I will. So anyway, that was my ham-fisted attempt to corral ourselves over from talk of oregano to
Xavier's.
Also healers. Zorn. He's got Zorn to take care of the draft. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I would close all the windows and I would ask Zorn to. So we're doing ye old X-Men, new X-Men, Grant Morrison's X-Men here on the Extinction Agenda with James,
and Chris.
And this week we continue our commentary. We're going to do a big chunk. Hopefully, James, you've recalled that we're not just doing Riot at Xavier's.
No,
we're doing one issue 131 to issue 138. So like the 4 issues leading up to, I guess it's 8 issues. Yeah, quite a bit. We're doing quite a bit today. But for the most part, I mean, my opinion is like there's some of these issues that I like personally I don't have a lot to say, and you know, perhaps you guys, perhaps I'm about to be proven wrong. Maybe there isn't, like, wouldn't be the first time. These issues came out. They were cover dated October 2002 until May of 2003, and then but their actual release dates months were September 2002 to March 2003. I wondered whether or not the Filth had started coming out yet, but that's not until August of 2000. Oh wait, no, yeah, August 2002. The Filth is coming out at this time, which I don't know. I just thought that was interesting to think about, that Morrison's doing these two things consecutive or at the same time. Yeah, issue 131. Jean-Paul Leon, inked by Bill Sienkiewicz. We've got the aftermath of the Phantom X story. How are we feeling about this one?
It's just sort of like I feel like these 3 issues that we're about to look at just kind of wrap up and tidy up after a party. It's some character moments, but nothing too major.
Yeah, I actually, I might as well just like issue 132, the one on Genosha with the Magneto statue. Like, fuck, I didn't like that issue when it came out, and I don't like it now. It feels like a waste of fucking time. Like, it's obviously a 9/11 tribute of some sort. But I don't know. That gets ahead of ourselves, but I don't know.
That
you guys feel the same way?
It didn't even occur to me, but yeah, like it's important in the sense that like we did talk about how there's no gravity in a weird way to the genocide of Genosha, but so like you do get that sense, the sort of memorial, but yeah, it's kind of frictionless in a weird way too.
Yeah, it feels too little, too late, but it also gives us like it's Morrison. This too, the Magneto is Zorn thing gets fucked, right? By this issue, it's super misdirection, because they spend the whole issue, like basically just Magneto's dead, and he does even like this last will and testament thing, which is like it's kind of pretty as far as sentiments go, like this idea that the victims of 9/11 and the victims of Genosha will live forever in electromagnetic form. I don't know, some sort of shit like that. It's kind of nice. And then like much of the Zorn scenario, it just like the upcoming Zorn reveal, it's just takes I don't know, it ruins something pretty.
Yeah, it's suitably like amazing. Like it's you'd get a sense of how the mutants of Genosha would have reverence or sort of be in awe of Magneto, and like the idea of like taking everyone's last words or thoughts and kind of making a tribute or sort of a I don't know, like a recording of them. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. And then, but I don't know. That's it. And then with issue 131, we get a lot of Beak and Angel. We get everybody very clearly recognizing that Emma and Scott are having an affair, and kind of saying like, "You guys shouldn't be having an affair. Man's got to mow his own lawn, Scott."
Yeah, the 131 too, I feel like is just like glazes over, like you say, like Beak and Angel. And then the funny thing about that issue is that I feel like it's done the exact same sort of development of their relationships done through the Riot at Xavier issues later in the same fashion, kind of, but better. So I don't know why we're dangling the carrot and kind of not going anywhere with it in this issue. It's just they rehash the development of their relationship sort of in the same like way too many times, I think, throughout the story.
That's interesting. Yeah, you might be right.
And then the same thing with the Emma and Scott thing. We're introduced to their affair going through like the psychic plane, and Scott sort of falls on that like bunch of pillows while he's piloting the jet. That's this. I think this is the second time we've seen that theme, and then it picks up again with the Phoenix costume, which is really perv at the end of Riot at Xavier's again. So it just seems to be. I don't know. I always had this theory that I don't know, and that doesn't my theory doesn't make sense, and I know it's not true, but it just feels like there are certain things he had to do for pacing, or that scripts were already made that he recycled again to have Quitely draw.
Yeah, there might be something
but
to that.
That's how I always felt about this, and that's what made me sort of like shy away from these issues previously. These issues, I mean, except for the Magneto issue with Quicksilver and Polaris, and like you say, the Magneto tribute, that issue is like kind of a standalone thing, and they got who's the artist on that again?
That's Phil Jimenez.
That's Jimenez. Yeah, he's better. He's the best spare hand that they have in this shit show. But that issue is nice, but I don't know.
I'm a Jean-Paul Leon. I'm even a Van Skeever guy before I'm a Jimenez guy.
Really?
I didn't like this. I really, like, on so many levels did not like. Maybe it's just because it's rushed or something, like. But it's hard to say that it's rushed, because you look at this first splash page of the Jimenez issue 132, and like there's a lot of detail, and it's appropriately apocalyptic, but something about his characters and stuff, I don't know. It just doesn't. I'm looking. Oh God, I don't have pages, but like when Toad is about to fight Storm, and they're about to have a fight, and it just looks like. Yeah, it just looks like the most ridiculous fucking nonsense you could possibly imagine. So like he certainly has skills. I mean, like, and is capable of a number of things, but something's a little off on this one.
I find him a little Perez-ish. I don't know. Maybe that's crazy.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's why that's why I warmed to him, I think.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely George Perez influence.
And then 133, obviously, like you said about 132, 133 leans again into the very anti 9/11, the fuck you 9/11 sort of intro.
This one, now we're getting into material that I find interesting. So this is a Van Skeever one. This is it is your sort of. I've come to start to characterize Morrison as a Cold War liberal, despite their hippie sentiments. At the end of the day, their attitudes towards politics are very, very mainstream, which is perhaps a controversial thing to say, given how like quote unquote radical they tend to present themselves. And in this representation of Afghanistan and Wolverine's interaction with these mutant slave traders or whatever, they're like I see that Cold War Enlightenment rationalism at play. Well, how does Wolverine and also the guy's holding, like, I was reminded, there's a couple things about this opening image of the dead Afghani militants. One of them's holding a gun, which it says Van Skeever, Rapmond. That's very clever. The artists signing their work. But it's reminiscent of the final cover of Invisible Zero, in the Hand of Glory, holding the gun and whatnot. There's a larger symbolism at play here that I haven't quite unwrapped, but the fact that Wolverine says, like, you people, like, what does it take for you people to listen to reason? They're called foolish and fanatic and cowardly. And it's one of two representations of people from Afghanistan or Pakistan, specifically Muslims, who are, they're just unreasonable. And we'll get to the other one in a bit, because I think it's even more revealing of the ideology that's at play here. That said, cool fucking scene. Yeah, this is good Wolverine shit. I don't want that to get lost, but I also want to pull out the themes, right?
That look on his face when you can't kill me, bub. If I get stung by one more stupid bullet, you lose the hand. But like, you just, in his expression, like, how he wants it to go down, and how hard he is trying to like live up to the Xavier's principles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then he keeps his I love what he says when the guy fires the gun. What were you thinking? This guy doesn't look like a deranged human killing machine on a hair trigger. Fucking yeah, man. I would absolutely never even try to do that. There's so many dead bodies everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuck you, buddy. Wolverine murders, and that's good. That's what I like to see. And he's like disturbingly efficient in a way that we haven't seen since he killed those the U-men in the back of that ambulance. Like,
when he blanks
ambulance.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're just fucking bodies everywhere. That's the best way to depict Wolverine. Bodies everywhere.
I don't know. Grant Morrison has a thing with Wolverine where he wants to tout him as their most effective, deadliest weapon that everyone's scared of, but he also kind of wants to. I don't know. He seems like he goes back and forth with. He's an effective killing machine, and he's it's just as
like Zen
Quentin says later. It's like, it's just his image, man. It's not really like that.
Yeah.
And he seems to soften on Wolverine's ability as well. I find here and there, like, all of a sudden he's like this, and then he's not like this, and it's just like, I don't know if that's just like where Scott, I find he treats Scott with like a very high precision level.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and same with Beast. There's a consistency. Emma, there's a consistency. Jean, even Xavier. But Wolverine, he seems to like flounder on how he wants to deliver him. But
that's interesting. Yeah. There might be. Yeah, I'll pay better attention to that. But that might be actually going on. I think it's Wolverine disease, though.
Yeah, there's a Wolverine saturation also that maybe he's trying to just like skirt away from. I don't know.
Yeah. At the same time, he's going to be front and center to the grand finale of the X-Men, and Wolverine is very much a moral center in this, and we'll talk about that when we get to Riot at Xavier's, and has. I think amongst the characters in this, it's Morrison views Wolverine as the one who's most on the level within this world of the X-Men, the one who has the most access to truth, perhaps, and the quote unquote way things are, and not in a cynical way, he's. Yeah. Anyway, there's sort of, I don't know if it's an ethereal voice, but like that's how Wolverine's positioned in this. And then we got fucking Phantom X.
I buy that.
And yeah, we're starting to see did it not James, this is when they start calling Wolverine James and that kind of thing, and that put me to mind of Wolverine, that origin story. It was published, where the fuck was it? Prior to this, yeah, November 2001 to July 2002. So the backstory of Wolverine is Bill Jemas is saying, no, got to start to incorporate this stuff. And this is Morrison's attempt to do so. We'll see some of that later as well.
Mm.
Yeah. And then we get to the Air India flight, which is the liberation of. Incidentally, like in Kashmir, very recently there was like a grenade thrown into a market. 14 people were killed. It was like a few days ago. So that Morrison's referring to a real insurgent, sort of radical terrorist operation that within Kashmir, because it's a geographical region that is it's contested between Afghanistan and Pakistan, but also China. It's a real fucking heady stew, but mostly the individuals there are Muslim. And so, these guys try to take over the plane, and Professor X is on the plane, and he disarms them, and then they, as they're getting off the plane, this is the important part. He refers to territorial injustices allegedly perpetrated by one tribe against another. And he says he explains the destructive, and these two words are important to me, inconsistencies and contradictions. As if, and I bring them up because Quentin's going to point out the inconsistencies and contradictions of Xavier's position, right? But that's what Xavier in this is used, as we've seen it before, to make alien human society like if a Martian came to Earth, how might they view it? Oh, it's two tribes fighting. But the Martians would be the supremely reasonable.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
And so, he comes down and he gives them the alien's eye view of what they're doing and shows them the error of their ways as if a lack of reason is the problem. Which I'm highly skeptical of a position like that. But.
Yeah, but I think it's also I think we've seen his perspective too. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like there is, it's very much of its moment.
Sure.
But we've also seen Professor X talk about how the lack of telepathy, just like the people being compartmentalized, like that speech that you kind of talked about that he gives to when they open up the school for that press event. Like that he can see how people are put into those boxes and how lonely or scared of each other people are.
And we'll see it more again when he talks to Quentin at the end of Ride of Xavier. There's a nice speech about that. At the end of the day, though, what Xavier ends up representing, and I'll continue to pursue this in Ride of Xavier's, is like in scholastic philosophy, particularly ironically Islamic scholastic philosophy, when they were trying to merge together like Neoplatonism. Or not merge together Platonism and Aristotelianism. They did, a bunch of fucking jumping through hoops to do it. But one way they went around deciding like how the mind works is that there is one mind, right? And each individual participates within the one mind, but they are individualized and particularized representations of a mass consciousness. That that's not an fully accurate description of what they were thinking, but it's kind of like that. And that's what Xavier's mentality is. Like we are all one mind. We are all one reasonable entity that, as a consequence of our atomization, fails to recognize its own fundamental reason within the mind of God. and as a consequence fights and bites and attacks itself. And like, I don't know, that I think that's a beautiful image. Guess I should say that, but at the same time, that it is also, why is it reason? Why are these Aristotelian conceptions of inconsistency and contradiction, like these logic plays such an important role for, that's the thing. Logic plays such an important role for Xavier's worldview. And again, we'll see that when we get to Quentin. And I think it's interesting.
Yeah, fair.
And then survives an assassination attempt by his wife.
I fucking hate that part of this. It's like, oh god, it's so stupid. It's like just running around like their little like alien rifle.
Yeah.
I hate when, I've said this before, but mostly I hate when the Shar show up and like it's stuff like this. So glad when she.
Yeah, it's really jarring to have like, this is a, I don't know. You give, I don't know. You gave such a highbrow run through of this. To me, it looked like, almost felt like Inglourious Bastards, sort of just taking a rough swing, you know. Even as far as to be like not only are you illogical terrorists, but you shove bombs up your asses, like you're the lowest, you know, like it just felt like a low shot, and then that's fine because it's like you say, it was a sign of the times, and then to move on and just have like a sniper rifle come out and have all the weirdest fucking X-Force mutants jump out, and then have Xavier like coddle his like mental defective wife, and just, it's just like such a fucking bizarro exercise, like this I don't know, this entire, and then to introduce your Phantom X found Muslim mutant as like, I can't remember if we've gone, obviously I'm sure we've gone over this privately in just like a, you know, weird to have like a mutant just like be made of desert sand, for fuck's sake.
I don't think we've ever talked about dust. I don't recall. Yeah.
Well, that's because no one should talk about dust. That is just too much. With the full burqa up, and then just move, like that character plays no further role going forward, to the best of my knowledge, maybe except for a side cameo here and there. And I was just like, what happened here? I like you can say, I guess as a sign of the time, and a just like a knee jerk thing, just to sort of kick a little dust around at the 9/11 thing, some literal and figurative sand.
It's so true. It is the laziest like stereotyping
it's like
origin
Ty
for
West,
a superhero.
It's like Ty West's COVID fucking references with this.
So obviously I'm very critical of, but what's the charitable view here? The charitable view is, there's two charitable views. One, Morrison's on record saying like they intended to do something with this, but then they left the book in a huff. Okay. Like they did have a goal for dust.
Okay, that's fair.
But it took forever. After the anyway, so that we can only take their word for it. But
which I do. That's fine.
So let's take a look at our cast of characters here. Even in this, when Dust's first appearance, we've got James Proudstar, proud Native American. We've got Sunfire, the samurai mutant. Think about Colossus. He's the Soviet working man. He's from a farm. He's made of steel and he works and stuff, right? And he has the soul of a poet. He's he's like a Dostoevsky. Storm, she's a goddess. She's an African goddess. These characters have always been, after Chris Claremont's handling of the book, like stereotypical depictions of individuals and their culture, and turning them into powers. It's what the X-Men do.
Very true, but like at least there's some attempt at like a political dimension to all of those characters, where like this depiction of Dust is like pure surface.
And at this point, yeah, you're right, and will remain that way throughout the remainder of what we the artifact that we get. So it's embarrassing as a consequence, but I don't think on the face of it, like right off the bat, like in this issue, I don't know if there's an immediate cause to go like to kind of groan, just given what I've said. Like
yeah.
I feel like I'm going to take the uncharitable view.
Sure, yeah, no, that's fair.
And the layman's view, and I'm going to say that Dust feels like an apology for taking a hot shit of 9/11 rage and smattering it across a number of books.
That might be the case too. Morrison, like even as far back as the letter pages in The Invisibles, I detected in some few lines that even back then there was this idea within them. Now they're obviously always been anti-established church, like that. They're anti-religious, let's say. But there was there was a comment about Muslims that, and I can't quote it, and I don't have it in front of me. But I was like, oh, I see. This is something that's been within you for a while. This is a stereotypical attitude that was waiting to be expressed.
The UK has a proximity that's different from the West also.
No, throughout the 90s, it was always like after the Timothy McVeigh attacks, like we don't remember this because we were too young, and we weren't plugged in at the time, but people went looking for Muslims as like when what was that? What did he fucking attack? The building. Anyway,
was it the World Trade Center?
No.
No. Well, though there was a World Trade Center attack too. Also,
you mean Unabomber?
No. Timothy, he bombed a federal building, and he actually
he had the truck, and he really successfully bombed the building.
That's right.
Horrific
and so,
way.
no one and everyone, not everyone, but there was a large portion of the media that were like, "Oh, the Muslims of Oklahoma did it," and so this stereotype has existed and festered and continues to exist and fester up to the present day, and it. Anyway, it doesn't manifest itself in such awful terms in Morrison's work. It does represent itself in the new atheist. The problem with these people is they're just not reasonable version of
that's very fair. Yeah, that's like a whole strain that's going around too, and I do think that they have probably some sympathy, at least at this time. I don't know about now, but to that position.
I feel that atheist, like a general atheist mindset, is that the majority of religions don't derive from reason, so typically will express frustration.
That's true, but
in most standpoints, but
there's a hard strain of like the Sam Harris type atheists that like they say all that stuff, but it's consistently Islam that gets the critique and the analysis at that time. Like it's very focused on one thing.
Yeah.
I did like how Xavier tries to, after Lilandra fucking tries to kill him or whatever, and she's like, no, it's over. The way he tries to talk, she's like, can't you see it's all broken? And he says, it's not broken, my love, dissolved, changed to a no form. Think. Like he's trying to like, I don't know, gaslighter is not the right word, but like, it's reorient. You're not thinking clearly. If only you were thinking clearly, you would know it's not broken, it's dissolved. Everything's transient, babe. But yeah, and then the Shi'ars, like the mutant species has registered toxic levels of aggression. Nature itself has chosen to deal with your kind, which ties back to what Xavier was saying. Like sometimes I think that the world is run by an intelligent force, natural force, something like that, and that we're all just playing out this it's the sociobiology kind of thing. And yeah, go ahead.
They're talking about the phoenix though, aren't they? That is the form
that's the phoenix, that's the form of its way of dealing.
Yeah,
but it's an agent of nature, whatever nature is in this instance. And we're left with a dire warning of things to come. Which I suppose at that point brings us to the prologue to Riot at Xavier's and the introduction of fucking Jumbo Carnation.
Oh, yeah.
And Quentin Quire. And fucking this artist, who is this fucking... I wrote this down. I wrote it in a way that I can't possibly read. Where's the title page? Talk amongst yourselves. What did you think of this?
About Jumbo?
Or the issue,
Oh. James, go ahead.
Well, this issue is kind of a funny, I don't know. This is a funny start to the arc, and I don't know. Jumbo's murder is effectively like horrific. I actually I have a complaint about Jumbo's murder because the murder is like run down pretty graphically, and then also like you're given like a complete like mock-up by they tell you that he was killed instantly and his internal organs were cooked inside of his own Teflon skin, and then Beast's there working on it, and then later in the book they backpedal that and say
they do.
He was doing fucking dust or whatever. He was doing the what's the fucking kick, the inhaler. Yeah. So it's just like that doesn't track. So it was like I don't know why he did that.
Because like you could have
the piss out of it.
Yeah, at least show him like doing the inhaler thing as he's walking out, and then do a bait and switch, right? Like make the audience forget that he did it by having him interact with some thugs and then just depict it a little differently. Like, I don't know. I'm a little inclined to blame the artist because they are so bad. Karen Grant, whoever this person is.
Still better than fucking Van Skeever.
No, that is so not true, man. That's like absolutely wrong. That's categorically put the two things side by side and like, anyway, I'm not, I'll defend Van Skeever a lot, and I'll definitely throw this motherfucker right under the bus. This Karen Grant fella.
Who's the other guy I hate? Oh, Igor.
Yeah, well, Igor shouldn't be hated either. It's not their fault that they needed someone to fill in.
Yeah, Igor shouldn't have a job. You're right.
Oh, that's so, man, like, you say these things, and yet, like, I can easily show you, like, Igor did some really good work and is capable of some fantastic work, but they're just not, like, don't put them on the X-Men, and don't put them on Grant Morrison's X-Men. Like, it was the typical Morrison curse of, like, shitty artist during their extended run, which I was texting about. Something about their extended runs on major franchise series just attracts the worst fill-in artists, and I don't quite understand why. I do think that it's Morrison's fault because that's the common denominator, right? Everyone else seems to have a working relationship with a single artist. Why not you, Grant?
Well, part of it's quiet that he works with quietly, and is working for the best. I think that probably sets it off.
I'm sure. Well, that's like Quietly's delays, but that doesn't explain what happens with Batman later, where you got Adam Kubert or Andy Kubert. I think it's Andy Kubert who's the main artist, and then suddenly just fucking falls right off the boat. And yeah, but Kubert, he's a workhorse. He's been in the game for a while. Like, he's not a prima donna. Anyway. This comic art sucks. Yeah.
No, I disagree. This comic art's pretty good. Birth of Quentin Quire, and this is where he stands up to Xavier and starts his little prepubescent rebellion. Goes to the fucking hairdresser. and a real rebel is born, right?
Yeah, and the reason for it is the dumbest fucking reason that I could possibly imagine. Like, he found out he was adopted. Also, he's like,
that's a weird that was a weird addition to the and also a weird, like, I mean, I think I could have used the motivation of, like, I think, like, because Quentin Quire's so ham-fisted, right? He's like, he's just like forcing his self-identity and his will. I had to give myself a layman's school class on Nietzsche before I came into the podcast today, because I thought James might touch on it.
Why? Why does he? How does Nietzsche come into it?
I don't know. I just like, I felt like when I was reading about it, I thought that was kind of how his behavior was fucking, like, tasked, like, that he was just like acting on pure self-identity and willpower. So I was like, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So I wasn't.
No, well, my mind certainly doesn't go there. It goes towards, like, I don't know, like, Quentin's an incel reactionary in the same way that Nietzsche's an incel reactionary. So, like, maybe there's that connection. As much as I love Nietzsche and think about him all the time, like, that guy fucking sucked.
I just thought his motivation could have easily just been, like, hollow and driven by, like, a fake caring about a gay celebrity mutant. Like, I don't think it needed the adoption. I'm not sure why that was thrown in there. And it's just weird. They really towed the lie on it too. Like, every issue.
Yeah.
Well, he did find out he was adopted. And you're like, well,
yeah. You're like,
what do you mean?
Well, is this gonna pay off sometime? It eventually, I guess maybe it could have. Like, when Morrison got around to trying to deal with Dust, maybe they also could have dealt with this particular plot thread. But, like, so
it is.
Go ahead.
Sorry, it is weird because, like, the motivation of, like, kid who's evolving, like, a secondary mutation, and then like, and unstable from that, and then the if you put yourself in the like, just the setting where, like, a nation of mutants has just been killed by I mean, I guess it's ostensibly by humans, right? Like, it's Sure. It doesn't really make sense because Cassandra Nova, like, at no point does Charles ever say, like, that was Cassandra Nova, buddy, like, that she's like she's a threat to all of us and, like, manipulated the humans as much, which would be pretty, a direction you could take it. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Humans did it.
No, it actually does matter. No, I was gonna respond to that, but no, go ahead.
So it just doesn't matter in terms of Quentin, because it doesn't matter. Quentin could just, like, say, no, it's humans anyway. Like, so.
Sure, and I think he'd be right. I guess what I was going to say.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, because, like, the Sentinels, like, Cassandra didn't make the Sentinels. They are the product of American imperialism in South America. They are this wild Sentinels that Cassandra knew about and was able to manipulate and make use of. But those weapons were made by us, by the apes.
I think when I kind of diagrammed it out in my mind, like, Trask, I can't remember the guy's, like, the dentist or whatever, like, the ancestor of Oliver.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Like, the current Trask was, like,
it
had never had any thoughts of, like, taking over the Sentinels and committing genocide until Cassandra got in his ear. She just needed him she needed his DNA, basically. So that's where I'm going with that. But anyway,
I get you. We're reenacting the conversation between Xavier and Quentin right now because, like, the humans, Sentinels exist to kill mutants. There was an entire factory of mutant killing machines that were just waiting to be released, and Cassandra whispered in the ear of a horny man who dreamt of keeping mutant slaves and released them into the world, right? So
exactly. This, I think, what problem I have with this is just like this is a good premise. Like, what if one of Xavier's students chose otherwise, or, like, took an alternate path? But then you have to spend time with Quentin, who's such a mewling fucking edgelord that like it's so hard to. Oh Jesus! But at the same time, he's like, it makes sense. Like he's like an alt-right shithead where they're not actually in the dominant class. Like they actually do have a grievance. So I guess interesting on that front.
Yeah, it is a little prescient of Morrison to, and in the sense that like the culture had always existed. I like the fact that Quentin Quire is Peter Parker. He's your typical Marvel character who has loses his parents and has extraordinary powers and then turns fucking evil, for all the reasons we've stated. Like there's an honesty and something identifiable and something perhaps true within Quentin's view of the world. But he, like you said, he's a mewling edgelord. He's a guy who literally needs to get laid because he does, as it ultimately it's revealed at the end of this, getting to what you had said about shallow motivations. It's that Sophie girl, which that drives him to this. And there's again a charitable view of this, not a charitable, like a sort of a mystical view of this, like Sophie equals wisdom, man's quest to understand, and fuck, like all that stuff. There's a complex thing at play here. But at the end of the day, yeah, he's just so fucking kind of crazy, like really unhinged.
Yeah.
Well, it's just kind of like, it starts off a bit more like a sort of like it's just like, it's like a generational conflict, right? So, because this is like one of the, I don't know how many other stories did this where Grant Morrison kind of aged the X-Men. So this is the first time, not the first time, but this is one of the bigger times in my mind where like he brought in a group of people who were like new mutant kids, and then you can see sort of like Xavier's failure to sort of acknowledge what the mutant teenagers are going through in this fucking horrible like landscape that Morrison's painted. There's a fucking mass apocalypse. There's mutants being killed and beaten on the streets. There's, this and that, and these kids, and then they allude to it in those previous issues leading up to it, where Lilandra's like, you don't know anything, Charles. When Charles lives, and Charles has always been insufferable in the way that he Justin Trudeau's us. He just knows what's best. He knows what's best for all of us. He knows what's best for the country and all mutant kind, and it's just like there's like, I know we find Quentin insufferable, but do we find Quentin insufferable, or do we kind of like, I personally I like his pushback. I find there's an allure to the story that he's just this fucking nasty little fucker. And then obviously he jacks himself up on drugs and then takes his little rebellion and his fucking like his, I don't know, he's just so pretentious and stupid. And then they keep referring to him as an Omega level mutant too. But it's I don't know, there's something like I don't know, there's something good about it, and there's something very expected in terms of like Xavier not being prepared for this.
Yeah, it's true. And I think that gives an element of believability, like the sort of subtleness of how he molds people around him, so that you're not sure if he's gathering this gang because people are persuaded, or if his powers are just shaping people and making them conform to his vision.
Yeah, I think Quentin Quire's primary power is 1990s cynicism. So listen to this. It's all fake and illusion. That's what cool is. That's what charisma is. That's what everything is. Quentin's mind perception of the world is strictly surface, and not only surface, but this sense that not only is everything surface, but surface doesn't exist. It is a form of nihilism. It absents meaning from the world and says, well, I don't, but, and then what this story posits is that once you do that, and maybe this is the Nietzschean element that you kind of thought that I might latch onto and am only latching onto because you thought I would latch onto it, is that, like once you engage in nihilism, there is a like things just fall apart, right? Truth doesn't exist. Reality doesn't exist. You end up in the world that we exist in now, where like there is no agreement on what the world is because everything is illusion. And what is bred within such a world? Fascism. What sort of naturally flows out of that? You have a world in which there are young men who want to fuck and control things, and they realize that there's no they don't realize, they believe, I believe wrongly, that there's no actual values in the world. There's only power and the will to power. And they embrace the fundamental reactionary elements, and like we see that drama play out here, and Xavier's failure, like our failure, to engage with these individuals because we believe that reason is the problem. If they were just reasonable, we they would understand that, oh, actually you're being a little fascist right now. But what Quentin shows in this story is that like reason is the tool of these monsters. They weaponize it to against the mainstream and to poke against the mainstream and to actualize their existence as a reactionary force against the Enlightenment, against all these what the liberal consensus, essentially the Cold War liberal consensus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there are a couple of good lines too that kind of go, especially I keep thinking of the one where he says like, we want to tear down everything that you created, not because we're monsters, but because we're young and it's our right to do so.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like that also a bit prescient,
You're always selling this future that never arrives. You preach utopia, but you never deliver on this dream you keep hearing about. Yeah, and Xavier's response to that is so fucking paternal. Like you said, I know that nothing seems to make sense right now, but we didn't bring you here to lecture or punish you. Yeah, he does try to bypass Quentin's statements. He always evades, and he's like, well, actually, I don't want to talk about that. We're going to do something else. We're going to talk about something else.
Hey, Doc, I got a little feedback on your headset there.
Oh, when? Just now?
Yeah.
For how long?
Probably just like a couple minutes.
Okay, I did feel something. Chris, did you have that?
Mm-hmm.
Was that a
Didn't
yes?
know where it's coming. Didn't know where it's coming from, but there is some sort of like sound.
Okay, is it still happening?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's on your headset. It sounds like someone's eating a salad while you're talking.
How about
with
now?
You. No, not now.
Oh, you know what I did?
What?
I unplugged. I had the thing plugged in. Sometimes it produces feedback. Okay, I've marked 55 minutes. I'll take a look. Has this been? But it's not been consistent. It's just something that's
No. It was like your probably the last 2 minutes in your previous monologue.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whether it gets picked up or not is a different thing, but it probably did. Anyway, where were we?
We were talking about the impact of, I guess, the sort of parallels to current culture.
And Xavier just like not really engaging with Quentin.
Right. That's a problem. I think that's one of the the real like bad feelings I have about this arc, and I it's got good stuff in it, and I also like in a lot of ways don't like it. And I think part of it is that like it just makes the X-Men all so impotent, especially Charles. And like it's just weird how they're covering up, like these these kids commit some pretty horrific murders. Like there's some kills that and like they're just kind of conferring and be like, yeah, we should maybe just cover this up because maybe it's just a phase. Like Wolverine speaks about how,
like Wolverine's statement, yeah.
yeah, just contain it until it burns itself out. But it's like and the weird another thing. Okay, this kind of plays into it too, but there's like the weird like the drug angle, which is like very Morrison-esque to have like a sort of an after school special about like how bad drugs are gonna fuck you up, kids.
Remember? No, okay. So remember on the Invisibles we were talking about like what drugs are good vibes, what drugs are bad vibes.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Kick is a bad vibe.
Oh, it's a very bad vibe.
Yeah, that's right. Amphetamines are the baddest vibe.
That's
it's like
true.
breathing the electric air of the future.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, but like the whole thing is like, it's like they all decide to have some rich private school murder cover up and just like conceal it.
Like the X-Men, yeah.
And that's the plot.
Yeah, that's funny. Did they end up covering it up though? I guess they kind of do.
Well, there's no. It seems like maybe there's no like suspects for the crimes. It's just like heard about in the news, and then the X-Men definitely already know who the suspects are. They all sit around in a psychic fucking weird looking Xavier classroom of pompousness, and then they agree that they're just gonna pass on it.
They kill those guys on the street, right? They're like, well, we suspect that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at the end. Yeah, well, of course, yeah.
I felt bad for that guy. Like this is my suit. Like it's my religion. I paid everything for it. And they're just like, I think they straight up murdered that guy.
Yeah, the surviving youths say a gang of mutants were responsible for this appalling attack. The survivors reported odd clothing, striped shirts, and then he goes on to continue his lecture. And then he meets with the X-Men and goes and talks about fucking from prize student to agitator. And so he knows it's them.
Yeah.
But then they fucking sit on their hands. Like.
Yeah, and in the end, Xavier steps down from the institution and the institution remains untouched, right? It's very classic. This is how the world actually works.
Well, I guess it's kind of Wolverine's it's kind of Wolverine's idea. Want my advice? Contain the damage until you wait until they grow out of it and you don't act like a jerk. Unless they were like, oh yeah, Wolverine's good on this one. We're just gonna allow a couple kills here and just pass on it. They gave one kid a fucking heart attack.
That's really funny because in reading it this time, and I'm not denying what you're saying is true. Maybe it's just because Wolverine has a soul patch all of a sudden and looks like a fucking idiot. We're talking about Riot and Xavier's part 1 at this point, right? The Quietly issues. Like that's when he says it. That's when he says the we should give the kid a pass. And we're soul patch
comes. Soul Patch comes next, Appy, I think.
It's right on the cover. At least it's right on this cover of issue 135.
Oh yeah, but it's not in the conference room conversation.
Oh no,
he doesn't grow the Soul Patch until the next
episode.
Right.
I stand corrected. Okay.
136, the Soul Patch comes into play full bore.
Oh yeah, there it is. You're right. Yeah, I guess I understand it to be the case that they someone had to redraw Wolverine's face. In the comics, I don't know if that's true, but it feels true because it looks like fucking stupidity. Anyway, but it's right on the cover there. That's funny. On this first reading, this most recent reading, I really got this sense that Emma and Scott were taking too hard a line. And now that you've laid it out for me in black and white like that, I was like, actually they weren't. They really weren't.
Yeah, I think there's a moral compass on this one, yeah.
Yeah, these people need to be spanked, that's fair.
Yeah. I love that Emma does kick just for science, had to try it out.
Yeah, I tried it out. felt like violently insane for a few hours.
Yeah, this would be a problem.
Probably problematic for us.
And they play it so like their priorities are so out of whack. Like a kick is on their campus. You can't use your psychic powers, Professor Xavier, to find out who's doing drugs on your campus.
Sorry, did they not say at one point that they find a secret kick lab inside the building?
Oh,
No, what?
I don't think so. That would be wild. They never depict that. Like if that's an offhand comment, that's even further damning.
I might have to.
I know that I like Emma found the drug on campus. Like when Professor Xavier comes into the classroom and he gives the speech about blackbirds, you're falling into logical error, Quentin. He's like, actually, I'm not here to talk about your costume. I'm here to talk to you about drugs. Don't do drugs. Yeah. It doesn't. Oh no, it's during the staff meeting. I think that is maybe when they say it. But basically, he states that somewhere along the line they just say that they found it on campus.
Maybe I misinterpreted that found it on campus, but I'm gonna find this and maybe we'll have to relitigate it like next time. But
yeah. Well, if there's like a fucking lab, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's just like that. That's
They seem really
legitimizing.
incompetent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't humans just? Yeah. He talks about how like 16 million people in Genosha are killed. Jumbo Carnation's murdered. We live under constant threat. And he's like, actually, the only threat here is drugs.
Just like disregards the entire that he's being completely rebelled against. But
well, yeah, there's a fucking fascist. He's dressed like Hitler right in front of him, and he's like, not gonna talk about that. Please think before you act. Arm yourselves with information. Yeah, like that info. When you talk about that Saturday morning special thing, paternalism of Professor Xavier, it's like it fits, but it makes him a fucking asshole, which is like a different type of asshole.
Yes, yeah, I fucking got it. I did take a picture of this because I was like, what the fuck?
You found it, okay?
But I'm not sure where in the comics it is. But like, I do have this. So Quentin's saying humans can't be reasoned with, and the one thing we haven't actually tried yet is Magneto's way, total extermination of the human race. The school gates are open to the public in 2 hours, Professor. And then they're like, look, there's a bookcase that's opened up, and Tattoo says, secret X labs, I smell kick.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, but that's like, okay, you're right. Yeah, you got it. But I felt like that was Beast doing experiments on it.
Okay, you know
to see what the effects would be on the mutant gene and the brain and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely they probably could have got his supply out of there.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
I'll buy it.
And then
that's
the
another terrible failing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Cuckoos get a hold of it somewhere too.
The only effective teacher is Zorn in the special class.
It's so true.
I love
the special class.
Yeah.
The special class camping trip is fucking what I'm here for.
Absolutely. So good. You know what? It sets up too, like I think this is quite clever. Like you have these two teams of like new, like the sort of like new X-Men, kind of being played off against each other a bit.
Like the losers versus the cool kids.
Yeah, but and also I did laugh. I do like that line when Quentin says we're the new X-Men, and like it's just like one of the issues ends with that. Very clever, call back to the whole series and
the original opening image.
Yeah, and they're very much like they have like a bit of an element of like that, the classic team like coming under the Professor Xavier's tutelage.
Both of them do. More so the special class. I sort of mapped it out. Like Beak is Cyclops, Angel is Angel. What's the fucking the goofy guy is? he's Beast. Jean is Martha, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, it's much more analogous to the original X-Men configuration, which makes the fact that Zorn is molding them and dealing with them like they're literally a youthful reincarnation of Xavier's original students, who he's attempting to pervert and manipulate. Although that's not revealed yet, but we do get our first real hint. This is when it finally happens, that something's up with Zorn when he kills those U-men and he does the silence thing.
Yeah. This is our little secret. And then you find out that he wanted them all to like experience like a traumatic fight against humans for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Funny thing, I remember reading these issues way back when they first came out. And I remember like, okay, Magneto's dead. I'm not even thinking that Magneto's dead. And Zorn's behavior in that moment didn't set off any alarms for me. I was like, oh, okay, well, Zorn's changing. Zorn's like experiencing the world of the fallen world of man, I guess I was thinking. And like that, I would have preferred that story,
me too.
maybe.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's because he even like he has a naivety and sort of like a like I can't tell if you're making fun of me or if like you're if I'm getting through to you, and like the he keeps telling that story about when I was little, a star opened up in my head, and like I don't know, there's something that feels genuine and sort of like powerful about that.
Mm-hmm. And would have been much more in keeping with what we're seeing here, where like these young mutants with exceptional powers who are being, there's an affinity between Zorn and Professor Xavier, because they both have a Martian's eye view of the world, and Zorn's Martian eye view of the world could have developed differently.
It's something weird. And I don't know. Yeah, there's a much better story to tell with Zorn, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've been over that before though. But yeah.
Yeah. No, but this is the promise of it. These his relationship with the children in this is so endearing. And like the way he deals with it, where they talk about no girl, still no girl. Perhaps she is gone, waits for us outside. Come. And he's so goofy. Let us learn.
The best is when he sees no girl. Oh, I was looking in the wrong frequency.
And that's cool.
He just he just caters to them, even though it's stupid and ludicrous.
Yeah. And but maybe it isn't. Maybe there is a no girl, and maybe he did check the actual frequency because he has that part of you, right?
Yeah, maybe. My favorite part in this whole thing is that the U-Man chick describing them having sex.
I knew exactly where you were going with that.
The chick's wobbling like a rubber glove filled with milk, and the other thing, it looks like this shit I used to see hanging on the hooks at Uncle Buck's butcher shop. Best sex scene ever.
That's an amazing description.
The fucking chick's wobbling.
But the thing is, like, then you cut to their image, and they're like completely clothed, and nothing's going on. And I don't want.
She's wobbling on Beak's dick, bro.
No, she's not, because like
she's got him straddled.
Yeah, do you see like her? She's wearing pants, dude.
She was grinding.
Yeah, she's grinding.
Okay, all right. You make all the apologies you want. Like it's just like the description of what is happening does not match like the reality that we're depicted. One thing I wanted to flag out of all of this is, so we've saw that John Sublime, he jumped to his death, right?
Yes.
But they're on the radio with someone, and John tells them that they, Master John says it's our right and duty to harvest the organs of these mutants. They're in communication with something that is John, and it easily gets lost. I don't know if you caught it, but
no, I didn't catch it.
I didn't catch that either.
Yep.
Bait and switch.
Yeah.
I just to put it, like Beak is so good. Like there's something about the way he's written, like the sort of like you believe that he's like maybe from a different country, has this like sort of bizarre self-effacing charm and just looks like a fucking nightmare. It all comes together. It's just I don't know. I enjoy following him.
Yeah, we threw away what was it, issue 131 that has a lot of Beak and Angel stuff, and I don't show up for that, but it's good. Beak is good in the way that like he is an alternative Cyclops.
Exactly.
Watching him develop and going through those like self-doubts and becoming a leader and dealing with romance. It's a way
hard
for us to and he's kind of a through line throughout the entire series. Not issue 1, 2, and 3 because he hadn't showed up yet, but definitely by issue 4 or whatever it was, 118, 119, whatever it was. Beak is someone we follow throughout and watch develop, and that's nice.
Yeah. You know what Beak is too? Beak's a great example of like the birth of a pretty cool character and pretty cool X-Man. Mm-hmm. And then and this is a good example of hack writers throughout X-Men, through the ages, is that there's a pile of writers, we talked about it last time, that are more than willing to rebirth Quentin Quire, who's fucking dead. But they'd rather resurrect him and tell a Quentin Quire story because they get to do pink hair and flex their fucking nonsensical muscles than take a character like this who is like an easy move into a fun story and still exists. It's like, so you know what I mean? Like it just shows hackishness.
Yeah. Who patches up the rubber suit with a condom, like saves the
what
day.
A legend. Yeah. And then he crushes that motherfucker's head with a rock.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's so simple. It's fantastic. Yeah, right. Yeah, Beak is gone. No, like I don't know. We haven't explored all the byways and of Marvel comics, and so. But I read the Krakoa era of X-Men. If there was a place where Beak was going to show up, it would have been there. Beak did not show up, nor did Angel. Nor did this fucking Basilisk, or I think Glob Herman shows up just because he's an interesting kind of figure.
Design. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very telling that all the fascists were those are the ones that survive, right? I don't know what it
mutants,
tells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not Quentin, but I can understand I don't know. I'm sure it's done very poorly. And hackily, but that contradiction of what Quentin's done and his remorse over Sophie's death, and then just the idea that he's an Omega level mutant, I do understand the appeal for telling future stories with that character, because Grant doesn't necessarily say that he's dead. Zorn thinks he's just changing form.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we're gonna see Quentin again later.
Yeah, but don't we pick up that Zorn says, oh yeah, he changed form. He's gone to the fucking astral plane because he's full of shit because he can't heal.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's possibly true. But
there's a sense in which actually maybe he's killing him in that moment, right? What if the enemy was inside all along? And there's two ways of reading that, like the aggression, but at that moment, maybe
interesting. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and he's like, when his little star opened and flower inside, and there's something in you that is like me. Do you see? And then he like opens up his visor and or he's sort of laughing.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the ways in which it could be read, and given what we know about what's going to happen, like I like that at this point, Quitely is drawing Zorn's face so horrifically. Like he's this smiling skull. Like he's literally a death figure. And he always has been. He's always been this death face with chains. But he looks so sinister and skeletal. Yeah, comes off.
Yeah, now that we're in the forest at night, it's the image of Zorn is like sort of degrading into this like nighttime horror. Like
yeah, until the moment when he kills all those people and does the whisper thing, the shush thing. I'm going to complain about the art. So they do the thing where Quentin Quire, like, he captures Professor X and he puts some tape on his mouth. And then I think, like, somewhere along the line of, like, I think it's issue 137, when all sorts of bad things are happening and Professor Xavier is sort of sensing it, or like it's screaming or something, and the art fucks up, and he's like, but it's like someone drew a mouth over top of where the tape was supposed to be. It looks very bad, and it's also inconsistent because later on, when Professor X escapes being tied up and walks out, his mouth is covered with a piece of tape, and he pulls it off only to like kind of to gasp at the death of Sophie.
You think Morrison and Quitely here got like the Alien 3 treatment, just fucking edited by Fox?
I think so. I don't know why, because we know that the soul patch suddenly starts showing up, and I forget where I read this, but I don't think anybody wanted the soul patch to show up. It was like, well, we're gonna draw the soul patch, and
the soul patch literally looks like on one scene when he first confronts Quentin, actually looks like he's glued like a tuft of fucking dead rat fur or I don't know what to his chin.
It's like a rabbit.
It's not even like a proper. Yeah, it's not even like an actual soul patch. It's like something that no one could possibly grow.
Yeah. Like it. Yeah, it doesn't.
It's even colored
look like,
differently.
Yeah.
He's given like bimbo lips.
Yeah, he's like, check this, peep this look, peep this vibe. In nowhere in the history of time has that facial hair been acceptable.
No, and it doesn't make Wolverine look any better or cool. Like I forget the reason they did this. Like I think it had something to do with Ultimate X-Men. There was Bill Jemas had a desire to take the Ultimate Universe and just like turn the Marvel Universe into the Ultimate Universe, whatever the fuck that means. And I think there was a soul patch at play as a consequence of Mark Millar's excellent taste. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that was like the assassin look, like the Wolverine assassin look.
Yeah, and so it's Mark Millar's fucking up Morrison's shit here for like not the first time. Anyway, Wolverine's attempt to deal with Quentin is it's kind of cool. It fits. Like he's not like, it fits what he said earlier. Like he's not going to come in ultra aggressive. He's just going to be like, yeah,
it is a little stupid that the team of drugged up students has 2 Omega level psychics, or at least one, and another high powered psychic on their team, and they fucking sent Wolverine. That's fucking dumb.
Well, they didn't send him so much as like that's what's going on at the moment. Like, I guess he's in the building, right? Professor Xavier's like been kidnapped. He's trying the reasonable thing, like he does try to talk him down, acting superior when you're just confused, never won anybody any prizes. But like, that's a bad strategy with people who are actually confused. They hate to hear how confused they are.
It's a gaslight.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it is. I think they're actually
then he
confused.
Says blood's gonna start pouring out of you after I fucking kill you.
Yeah. It's not a prank. It's a mutiny. And yeah, I like that he respects what Quentin has done at it.
Yeah.
He's like, you got some stones. And then
Yeah.
I like how they continually address it though as they go along. They're like, he's gonna fucking hunt us down and kill us.
Yeah. No, he won't. That's just his image. And this gets back to the 90s cynicism of the whole thing. Like this. Quentin truly believes that there is only surface to things. That's what's powering all of this.
It's like a Holden Caulfield, like you're all phonies and like
Yes.
oh, you guys just want to be on TV. Weirdly enough, though, like his whole thing is like harkening back to that image of like this is what humans thought mutants would do, so we're gonna dress like that. We need to make them scared again. Like it's all like images what preoccupies him, even in terms of what he's trying to shape himself into.
Yeah. And when we turn the page from that, that's where this is the art fuck up with the mouth.
Yeah, I see that here now. Yeah,
this is a splash panel of the weird mouth plus the death of the human fart guy.
Yeah.
Which is fucking like I like
that people cover their nose.
I don't know why Grant did that, because why like that distracts me a lot as as not a neurotypical person. Like the fart guy's death like just stayed with me for 3 or 4 pages. Like I can't concentrate after that.
Just that I didn't even think about how weird it is that like Beak is just cradling the suit.
Yeah.
Like a fucking bondage suit that he's just like draping, like it's like he's carrying the dead body.
No, and Ernst or whatever behind him is holding her nose, and so are people in the crowd. Like they're just like he's willing to like
a hilarious fucking fart guy death. I don't understand. Why did he establish that over the course of like multiple books?
I think that like this is like maybe Beak represents someone who's willing to embrace the filth, like the shit of humanity.
Yes.
And so like the human fart has died, and he's going to show it appropriate respect because like that's where he lives, like in that space of the discarded scents and images of society. Like for him,
the grotesque, even, yeah.
Yeah, like, and for contrasting it with Quentin, like a Beak experiences the world in the same way that Quentin does. But on the negative end, like where Quentin is I'll use the word privileged enough to identify the world as like pure image and everything's advertising, everything's phony. Beak experiences the world from a position that has no privilege and cannot pass as someone. He's not one of the pretty ones.
I like that. Yeah, that's true.
He like he lives in a world in which everything is image and everything is phony and suffers as a consequence, but is sort of pure within that space.
Yeah, he's
ugly fucking Jack or whatever.
Ugly John could have been Beak. Imagine Ugly John was our guy throughout all
Ugly
this.
John was taken from.
I got 3 faces and they're all pigs.
Ugly John and Wolverine's bromance was taken from us too soon.
Yeah.
And then that leads us into probably Cyclops, Beast, and Zorn as like the menacing X-Men. Just an absolute legend scene where Cyclops shoots fucking redneck dude straight in the face, and they all just stand there without moving at all while Beast cleans his glasses, and they just lecture them all. Nobody in the riot advances at all because they don't want the fucking smoke of the real X-Men. Fully militarized, and he doesn't just like, she's like, you broke his nose, but he's just literally down there like, like he fucking cleaned his face.
The next Joker gets a broken leg tattoo. We don't tolerate killers.
He actually breaks the guy's leg in the next scene.
Yeah.
See that? He does like a fucking cartwheel and breaks the guy's fucking leg in half.
Yeah.
It's
all backwards.
He follows through with his threats.
And then throws shade at him. Student performance, grade poor.
Yeah.
But meanwhile he broke the guy's tibia, fibia, and his ACL will never be the same. He'll probably walk with a fucking cane for the rest of his life.
Oh God, looking at it now, you're right. Yeah, that leg is bending all the wrong ways.
It's gone. And then he gets outclassed in a dumb way in Amazon.
Yeah.
Which I was
I'll rewind it just a little bit. I just wanted to. We haven't talked a lot about how like Quitely's delivering in these issues. Like he got redrawn a little bit, but and actually there's some panels that I'm convinced he didn't like, because there's some of these issues there, like with the assistance of Avalon Studios. Some of these pages don't like these. Some panels don't look like Quitely, or they look like sketches that were filled in or something like that. But they're very rare. But when he shoots a redneck in the face, I love how the beam hits the earth. It creates this like honeycomb effect on the ground, like all the physics of Quitely on display. And it's
a beauty shot.
Yeah. And you get it over and over and over. This is some of this stuff in comparison to what we've seen in the past in like throughout the run. Like these are solid Quitely. I guess it's always been solid Quitely stuff, but I just feel like this one's a little more kinetic than we've seen, and maybe I'm wrong about that, but
no, that car chase is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. These drugs you're taking are driving your thoughts too hard and too fast.
That image of the like I want to frame the image of like the cuckoos like stepping into the Cerebra, like haven't you ever wanted to be a superhero? They just all look fucking deadly.
Oh, that might be a good t-shirt. Maybe that's the X-tinction t-shirt. Finally.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Could be the panel with the floating head on the next page, though, too.
Yeah. Well, that could be on the
boss. I'm the Human Torch. Just what a man. I'm sorry, but the X-Men, like, and there's a picture where he fucking is taking off running at full speed. He's just like a fat kid made of paraffin wax that's on fire, bolting down the street trying to roast humans. And Beast and Zorn are standing there like they got their fucking pants around their ankles. Like they lost a hold of this. They lost the plot.
Oh, it's a riot of saviors, man.
Yeah, it's a shit show, and they're like they had every opportunity to like exercise some control in this, and they did a really poor job.
They did, yeah. Like it is sort of true to life, though. I think we already said like, how is Professor Xavier going to respond to this? He's going to step down, you know. Yeah. And then like he's like, you riot as much as you want, or protest as much as you want. I'm going to leave, and that diffuses the situation apparently.
Yeah. The Institute is purged of any bad shade on it.
I wanted to go back to the Cuckoos when they access Cerebra and their final, like, how they deal with Quentin.
Oh my fucking god, that image is incredible.
Yeah. So I suppose you think this is some big fight between, and they're all starting to bleed through their nose, between youth and experience, anarchy and authority. People like you always miss the point, Quentin Quire. It's all about in versus out. I don't know why the Cuckoos are given this. This feels like a Morrison authorial voice thing. Like this is very much Morrison's fundamental binary. Like this idea that like there's good versus evil. It's not good versus evil. It's in versus out. And I don't know what that means, but
I think it connects to that tribe thing in this case, right? Like is somebody who desperately wants to be in, and like really what I think all of this is about, like in a pathetic way. Mm-hmm. That also he says it's about impressing them, and like that moment of like, so you look up to me, and then they all just say ew as they like separate him from his neuros, like his nervous system.
Yeah, that's the fucking punch. Yeah. It does get back to the tribal thing, doesn't it? It's that Martian eye view of things. Like I suppose what's it play in all of this is like there is no in versus out. There is only being. There's these distinctions. Any distinctions are meaningless. Which is consistent with what we see Xavier later talking about, where with Quentin, like what is he's talking about people like a hand, like a hand scared of its fingers. the loneliness and loss felt in a world without telepathy. I know.
Yeah. And that psychic shakeup just like, rattles his brain and makes it clear to him. Like he's somehow then after that able to see outside of himself.
Yeah. Yeah, he's starting to come to an understanding, and that's when he's like, and I like an operating thesis maybe is that like this idea of aggression, this toxic aggression, there is something within. What if the problem was within all along, is maybe to be read as like, what if this like fundamental drive of tribalism and aggression between the in and the out is the fundamental, what if that's the problem? And I think it circles back to the Sentinels, and their sort of imperialist racist drive, because the Sentinels to my mind are and Bolivar Trask, like he dresses like the Trask image, like that this whatever the Sentinels are and whatever they represent is never ceases to be within Morrison's X-Men run like the fundamental actual threat. Even as we saw in previous issues, like the U-Men, their technology derives from the Nano Sentinels, and so like it's ultimately about what is the problem, and I guess maybe we'll test this when we see what Magneto gets up to. It's it's this in versus out. Is that tribalism? Is that a internal aggression within individuals? Which, yeah, I mean, I'm just agreeing with you and elaborating, but
yeah, no, I think it is the through line.
Yeah. I do like when Emma's response to, there is a dismissiveness to Quentin throughout all of this, when he's like, riot, and then Emma's like, they're like, take over the school, and Emma's like, and then what? And then what? I do like that. It's telling, because so often with radical individuals where they want to accomplish something, they're like, well, what do you do after that? Then, like, what is the purpose of your revolutionary energy, other than to act out? Is the position that the story sort of takes.
She's such a good character. Like, I'm just I really enjoy her, sort of like the dissolution of her confidence as the Cuckoos separate from her too, and just that like previously where she's like complaining about how like the kids these days, like, we used to have real fire, and they were like, well, didn't like your former students die? She's like, well, like one or two, but let's not focus on the downside.
That's right. And then they the Cuckoos, one of them ends up dying. Sophie ends up dying because she engages, she's inspired by,
she bought in fully,
to that, I don't know, to the image, right? What makes this story really enjoyable and not totally fall apart, even though the X-Men are presented as fucking dunderpates, is like everyone, the fundamental ideas that are at play seem very real. Like we like heroes can inspire us to bad things, and they can inspire us to good things, and to examples of self-harm and I don't know, what's the to, I don't know, I guess to riot, and disobedience and that kind of thing, as well as all the positive things they can do. And this kind of plays with that a lot and kind of fucks around with what I had said is, Morrison, like with Phantom X, it was ultimately a testing of Xavier's vision, and then this story continues that, and then we're going to see that in, I think, the next bit as well, when the next storyline, when it's revealed that Magneto's coming out, right? The second arc is And perhaps the whole series is all. I think the whole series is all about testing Xavier's vision to the fullest extent possible, and it's good and it's fun. Like we've said a lot of negative things. I guess I'm trying to make it positive at this point.
Your next issue, you get some more physics on display at least. The prime of Miss Emma Frost. Because when Beast saves the paraffin wax, I like that they had the Beast come out as gay and had that weird.
Oh yeah, we haven't even talked about that. Yeah.
Where Beast does the weird thing where he's like, might as well be. It's weird. Just a weird choice. Just a weird choice all around. And then whatever, and after that's all settled and pushed back, he then saves two sort of gay daddies from an Audi here.
Oh, you're right. I didn't catch that.
Couple sort of Freddie Mercury dudes.
Absolutely. They got the stash.
And then he moves on and tries to chase the guy down, which is another cool Scott moment. Scott shoots yet another student straight in the fucking head. And then as he bounces down the road, Zorn dumps a cement truck on him.
Oh, God.
Which then you can kind of to me, that's another kind of they zoom in and he somehow just detaches this gigantic metal object. With no effort, and there's kind of a shine in his eyes, I don't know.
Yeah, no.
To me, you're starting to get hints now.
No, yeah, you're totally getting the hints, but you're not actually getting good hints because up until this point, Zorn's powers are really unknown. He has some sort of electromagnetic star powers, and I kind of bought that he was just very strong. Or something. I don't know. I didn't think too much about it, and I'm not. Other than the fact that they zoom in on how fucking sinister his face looks, it's still not quite there for us, but it is there. It's still weak in comparison. We've already complained about this, but this is such a fucking bullshit twist, And to do this at the 11th hour, just before you're going to reveal your twist. To make the audience oh, actually it was there the whole time. Maybe for the last 6 months. Okay, fine. That is essentially what happens. It's not Zorn, it's not Magneto, not Magneto, not Magneto, and then for a period of 5 months or 4 months, it potentially is Magneto. Or even as I guess the next story, the reveal is not going to be for 5 issues after this. So 9 months where it might be Magneto. That's the magic of monthly comics. That the misdirection of monthly comics, what it allows. But reading it the way we're reading it, not great.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
That leads into the I like this scene with Wolverine, where he apparently is deporting these last students who just had their best friend fucking get turned into a fucking nerve-ending carcass, fucking Hellraiser. And apparently Wolverine's now going to deport them to the third world country to fucking help until they're crying and bleeding. And then when one of them says you can't do that, he fucking turns into an animal. There's this great he's just he's expressing what's happening with a soft face, and then as soon as he turns on that kid, he's fucking horrifying. It's actually nice work by Quietly, I think.
Yeah, I'm ruined by the soul patch.
All his fucking neck just fucking stiffens up, and his eyes go fucking wild.
yeah, and you can see the strength of the neck muscles and everything. Yeah. I think this is there's no deeper critique contained within this, but Morrison's way of they evoke concepts rather than say specific things. So, finally convinces the authorities to send you back. You'll be sent to the third world. Can you gentlemen tell me what that is? right?
Well,
but we know what that that is, right? You know, what specifically is happening here? It's very common. It's very common throughout Morrison's run to just like evoke these phrases that you fill in the blanks on. And I'm just pointing it out. You know, like I just think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting technique that it might even allow for the story to often be timeless as a consequence.
Yeah, that's true. Because if you name a specific place, but I'm not. Well,
I immediately thought, oh, they're gonna have to go build schools in Africa. Filled in my own.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's and again, this isn't like the concept of the Third World War is a Cold War liberal concept, which is neither here nor there, but I think it's just an interesting affinity that's contained within these concepts. But yeah, it does the work. And Morrison's always able to get the work done with offhand phrases that sort of hypnotize you into thinking what you're supposed to think, or filling in these blanks. I see it all the time now. It's very effective strategy, and I wonder how to use it to my own benefit. It's very it's magic. It's magic. I don't believe, speaking of magic, I don't believe that Emma Frost is 27.
No, that shocked me. But it's a great line, though.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Silly old woman. Old. Oh.
Oh, she's.
I'm 27, you ungrateful wretches.
Yeah, Emma's kind of pathetic. Like Quentin is revealed to be correct in this moment and in a number of moments throughout all of this. Like maybe the incompetence of the X-Men is actually like Quentin being right. Like it is all image. And with Emma in particular, like, yeah, she's like, no, teaching is my life. She's fucking begging the kids to come back. Like, who would actually do that?
Yeah. It's very dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a horrible example. She was literally like mind molesting the married man throughout the entire story.
It's true, and they all recognize it. They all see it. Yeah.
And at some points now, on a reread here, it becomes sort of like it's not consensual at some moments. Scott's trying to have conversations with her and confront her, and she's just like appearing them in a bedroom with her fucking clothes coming off and dressed like his wife, and like she's literally like and Xavier's there at full strength, just allowing this to be taking place.
Yeah,
he could be in the corner.
Maybe he is.
Yeah. Giving him the other fucking no girl treatment. I don't know, but it's just weird. It's a little. There's a, whatever. That's a nerd plot hole, but it's just there's a little bit of like there's a little bit of mental rape going on there.
That's really funny. I don't take it that way. Scott is a piece of shit and always has been a piece of shit. Who will abandon his wife. Pryor.
He gets into it. He gets into it after he's put into a bedroom with a naked woman. Not fair.
Well, there's a complexity to this that's going to be added later, and I might as well say it now. Like, he doesn't physically sleep with her. This is all like taking place on the psychic plane, and I don't know. I'm not going to take any agency away from Scott in this. She doesn't need psychic powers in order for him to want to fuck, right?
It's a seduction for sure.
An
aggressive one, but
sure. And like super kinky in a way that I don't know. That's really interesting. Like I'll act like your wife. You want to act like you want me to do that? I'll act like a slutty version of your wife. They're like, yeah, baby, that's exactly what I want. That's. I don't know. There's something. I don't know. I think that like that's without saying too much. Like that's I don't know. That's a desire. Like that makes sense to me, and it's a sort of it's a strange kinkiness in the middle of like a mainstream X-Men comic, which is yeah.
Probably no one's gonna get this, but like that is basically the plot of a Colleen Hoover book right now. Like that's funny. Just like she's like the most popular author in the world in terms of like mainstream audiences, and they're all like that. It's all like affairs, but like it's like referred on to like the wife so that it's romantic. It's weird. It's weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's like
my cheating was really about you. I'm really a good man. And
like, that's a beautiful conservative vision of fidelity.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, how do we have an affair but remain faithful?
Yeah.
Time. It's pretzel time. But yeah, Scott finds a way, you know.
Yeah. He's like a beautiful vision of like a conservative sort of like strong man too in a way. So it all.
Oh yeah.
Grant being very prescient once again.
Yeah. Absolutely. What we need more than anything, we need Cyclops for president. That's what I'm saying.
He could do it.
Yeah, we could replace him. At the very least, let's get rid of Trudeau, install Cyclops. I would have a lot more. No, actually, I wouldn't have a lot more confidence in my organizations because he too would just cover up malfeasance. And
he'd have affairs left, right, and center.
That's right.
He would have more affairs.
Bill Clinton was bad. Wait till Cyclops is in charge.
He's unzipping latex 27-year-olds all day long.
I'm going to stop.
That's got to be the end.
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.